Yes.
Hi.
What can I do for you?
Charlie Chan.
Charlie Chan, you say?
Yes,
Huh.
Charlie Chan. Let's talk
Really?
about Charlie
Charlie?
Chan. What do you know about Charlie Chan?
What do I know about Charlie Chan? It was based on a series of books. One of the interesting things about the book is the guy who wrote the book was trying to uh the thing is there was a character called Dr. Fu Manchu,
Right,
which
yeah.
which preceded this.
Isn't that
It
where
preceded
the mustache?
Right. Yeah. The long mustache and all the rest of that. And that series had this Chinese character as the bad guy, as the evil villain. Kind of like that's the evil Chinese stereotype of the time. And there were actually several movies that were Fu Manchu. In fact, guess who plays one of them? Guess who plays Fu Manchu?
Uh,
Think of this film.
of this one?
Yeah, think of this film and think about a character in this that you would put a mustache on
Well, I'm
to
looking at the pictures and I think an older. Uh,
Boris Karloff, a younger Boris Karloff.
oh my God.
The series of books for the was done by a guy who wanted to reverse that trend. He wanted to reverse. He wasn't Chinese himself, as are none of the actors. I might add, none of the actors are also Chinese, except for Key Luke, who Key Luke, Key Luke, the number one son, uh,
Yes.
who is in several of these. His name Lee Chen, no, it's Chan. Lee Chan actually
Yeah.
did some mysteries by as the lead character
No, he was
uh,
great.
through the 40s and 50s.
Yeah. No, he was
It,
great. I liked how he came
they're
in and
very
was
entertaining.
just
They're
like the
all
most
very
normal character, and
yeah,
he was kind of like
yeah.
the Matlock assistant. He was doing all the dirty work behind the scenes.
Yeah, he is. He is.
Well, I found out there were six actors. I thought there were only three, but I looked into it. There were like six.
Well,
So
the thing is,
between
you have to go back to the radio
1927,
too. Is the guys on the radio weren't the guys that were doing the rest of it either. So
and I actually did a lot of research on Charlie Chan because I didn't know a lot. I knew my dad liked Charlie Chan and specifically liked Warner Oland. I think I'm saying his name right, Warner
right.
Oland. I want to put an R in his last name for some reason.
Orland, right? Yeah,
I
I say that all the time. I say, it's
But I was
Oland.
surprised that I thought there were only three main Charlie Chan people, but there were actually like six in the series of movies from 1926 to 49. And the first two were Japanese guys that only did one movie. And then the third guy, he was only in one movie. E.L. Park was his name. And he was only in one movie, but he apparently came in at the very end to kind of wrap up the mystery.
Right.
So it didn't really start until Oland took over 1931, and I think that's when this took off. I think he put it on the map pretty much, and you can
Yeah,
tell
yeah.
by the way he plays it.
It's a super likable character. I mean, that's
Oh no, it totally reminded me of I used to like the series Poirot with Suchet or
right.
whatever, and he kind of played it the same way. He was like this guy that was really smart that wasn't really uppity. I mean, I guess Poirot would probably be more uppity, but he was likable, and when he insulted somebody, the person didn't really know that they were being insulted.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of it actually in a way there are a lot of pieces of it that turn racism on its head.
Yes,
Right?
yeah.
That just kind of like makes fun of the of that fact that people are racist. It would just turn it right around. It was really interesting.
Actually, what I thought at first, I thought this was going to be. I just assumed it was a guy like kind of cultural appropriation, racist kind of thing. But
It
when I
isn't though.
watched it, I
It
watched it with
is
an open
not
mind though, and guess what? He actually is a very likable character. He reminds me of David Suchet playing Poirot. Um,
exactly.
and then his number one son comes in, and guess what? He acts completely normal like he would
And
today.
his yeah,
Like
and the number
today.
one son was very Americanized.
Well,
Uh,
he stepped out of 2024 and walked into a
exactly,
movie in the 30s.
and in all honesty, the thing is, I have heard this so many times that it's a racist depiction, and it certainly isn't modern. I mean, I
No.
have to tell you that it certainly isn't modern, but at the same time, it's it's not horribly racist. It is, and in fact, there's a certain kind of one-upmanship going on through most of these.
Well, you have the
As you,
racist cop who's like it's kind of like the
the
Keystone
racist, and
Cop, and
but it was
he's the villain. He's the villain that
but
gets all the stuff thrown at him.
exactly, and at the same time, there's more of making fun of him
Yeah,
than
and
there
it's
is
always after
make.
he says something bad about Chinese people or something.
Yeah, he always gets his comeuppance immediately.
By the way, this movie is Charlie Chan at the Opera, 1936. Boris Karloff is in this one. That's why I picked it, actually.
Right, right.
Charlie Chan at the Opera, 1936. And it's about a escaped, dangerous, he's an amnesiac, escaped dude from the asylum. And he's wanting to get revenge on people that tried to murder him, apparently, 13 years before that.
Apparently.
But Warner Orland is the Charlie Chan of this one. And I love Boris Karloff, so... And I was actually kind of impressed with some of the... I'm not a huge opera fan, but I thought it was actually pretty well done, the opera scenes.
Yeah.
And it was actually... They wrote an opera for this, a short opera for this, but they only played little clips of it, obviously. But I thought that was interesting that they went to the trouble... Somebody went to the trouble to write an opera, and then somebody else sang Boris Karloff's part, you know, where he's...
Boris Karloff in this plays an opera singer, Revan, and when
Gravel.
Ravel, and when he is doing his singing part, he was amazing. The outfit they made for him was absolutely stunning. For his
Oh, no, it was
eyes,
awesome.
it was absolutely awesome. In fact, as far as most of the Charlie Chan films, and there were a boatload of them, most of the Charlie Chan films don't have such excellent production value. I mean,
Yeah.
the production value of filming in the theater like that is quite amazing. It really is. I mean, the look of it is stunning, and one of the things that I kind of like, just from a production designer's point of view, is looking at the levels. When you look back behind the stage, you're looking at the levels that were built into the stage on the actual opera set. You know, bah bah bah.
Yeah, yeah.
It was just it was really cool.
Well, plus
I
they
love,
also threw a lot of horror in. Like this started off like as a horror movie with the lightning and the
did.
Boris Karloff coming out of the shadows, and he was shuffling around like an evil person, you know, at the security guy at the mental hospital. He's like, "I'm gonna get out of here."
It had a lot of Frankenstein touchstones all the way through it, as a matter of
Yeah.
fact.
Oh, totally. Like the bodies in the background in the storage room.
That's right. I mean, it was pretty interesting.
What was your favorite line? I bet you I know what it was.
I can't.
The stage
can't
manager
remember.
when he was like, "The
Yeah.
opera will go on, even if Frankenstein walks in."
Even if Frankenstein walked in here.
Well, this was to me. This seemed like a very straight up mystery. It was like a Columbo, like
Oh, yeah.
an hour long,
These are not great mysteries.
not complicated.
You just kind of
Well, you know what's happening
but
right at the
you can
beginning
get
with
hooked-
Boris
but you-
Karloff.
you can get totally hooked.
But you know what's happening
on
the
all
whole
the
time
characters.
because you see both sides. You see Boris Karloff, and then you
Yeah,
see
yeah,
what he's up to,
absolutely.
and then Warner
Absolutely.
Orland trying to solve the crime.
But I really want to recommend to people to go back. You know, especially the ones that have Maitland in them.
Manton Moreland.
The ones that I liked, there were 14 of them that had a character by the name of Birmingham Brown in it. And Birmingham Brown, there were 13 films that had him in it, and Mantan Moreland was the guy who played Birmingham Brown. And actually, in at least two of them, he brought on his partner, who I can't think of the name of his partner right now, but they did a comedy routine in the middle of the films that it was just hilarious. It was like, well, you know that guy. Oh yeah, no, I know that. You know, he was down by the wall. Yeah, right. When he was down by the, and it just keeps on going and going.
Sounds like a Bob Hope thing.
It is very much of a Bob Hope thing. It was part of the comedy, some of the comedy routines that he did, because he did a stand-up act, um, later on to become one of the highest paid black actors at the time. But I mean, I always like these. I always like Warner Oland. Uh, he had to be by far one of my favorite of the Chans. I'll look for one of the better Maitland ones,
Manton Moreland.
and we'll go into that because you really let his Brown character is a lot of fun. A lot of fun. As far as what I would rate this one, you know what? I can watch these day and night. Period. I mean,
Well,
I
it's like a Columbo episode. I can watch
it
Columbo even
is.
though I've seen it before.
Oh, absolutely.
Because Peter
It's
Falk is amazing, just like
yeah,
Warner
and
Oland is great
it
too.
is the greatest thing to have him just running in the background while you're thinking about something else. You know, it's just, to me, it's just one of those guilty pleasures I just love, and it's I personally don't think that that's problematic
No,
at all. This one, I tell you, I like this one a lot. I think it's one of the medium films overall of the massive amount of film. I mean, I think that there is. I'm gonna take a guess that there's got to be at least 50 to 60 of these films.
well they powered through these. I was surprised how many
Yeah,
they
one right
made.
after
So they
the.
must
Yeah,
have just like, oh, break, basically, let's break the set down and put up the next one. Like it was like a Roger Corman type thing.
right, exactly. I can watch it at any time. They're not high art at all, but
No, they're
I
well
just
done though. I mean, for the
I,
30s, these are like
oh yeah,
pretty clean stuff,
yeah,
pretty nice stuff.
and they're a lot of fun.
On a scale of 1 to 5, did we rank it yet? I didn't rank it,
No, I didn't rate. I was trying.
and I
I've been through the
interrupted you
process.
probably.
I want to give them all the series a three, uh, and just add that I will watch them whenever.
I'd give us a 3.2 just because I loved Boris Karloff's performance in this one.
Yeah, yeah, I can
So I
see
give
that.
it a zero point 0.2 for Boris.
I'm like I say, I'm still thinking of the whole series, trying to consider it as an overall, because this is a very medium one. There are some that are much better and some that are. I think the one in Paris Charlie Chan in Paris uh, is amazing.
Hmm.
The much higher quality, and it's got Maitland in it too. So there you go.
Manton Moreland.
Tell you the truth, Charlie Chan at the Opera is not. They were made. They were made early in the 20s, their heyday was probably the mid 30s to
Yeah,
the early 40s, and some of those are very good looking films. Some of them are pretty
and
high
they're all on
budget.
YouTube pretty much.
Yeah, they're all on YouTube, and that's the great thing is I have to say, a lot. Whenever I hear about a black and white film that I want to watch, almost every time you can find it somewhere on YouTube.
Yeah,
And the thing is YouTube does a really good job. YouTube has I don't know if it's some kind of filter or they're filtered through AI or something like that, but let me tell you that 5 years ago, these were not this clean. They were not as clean as they are now.
nope.
For some reason, they were cracky, poppy, and the sound was terrible. And the thing is nowadays they are very, very pleasant to watch.
But there's a certain charm with some popping and cracking sometimes, though. I'm just saying. It's kind of like listening to a vinyl record. Sometimes you want those
We're
while you're
not
listening
talking
to
about.
stuff.
We are not talking about your sex life, my friend.
Oh, so have you seen any of the movies with Sidney Toller or Roland
Oh
Winters?
yeah, yeah. I don't mind.
How do they
Sydney.
compare?
Sidney Toller is. It's funny. Is you always think to yourself that he's pretending. And the thing is by the time it came down to taller,
Isn't that what acting is? It's pretending.
well, sort of. But the thing is they were then doing them really cheaply,
Oh,
and it's sort of like the sets were kind of just boards that were put up, and I mean this one's very opulent. I mean the concept of the opera and all the rest of that, and obviously they either shot it in they
the
probably
stage.
shot
Yeah.
it in an operatic stage. You ought to see that. You ought to see the Charlie Chan films. I mean, they're better than you think. They really are.
Yes. No, I absolutely agree. In fact, I want to see more, and I was actually wanting you, since you're well versed in Charlie Chan movies, I want to make some suggestions, and we'll
Well,
talk about them.
like I say, Charlie Chan in Paris probably one of the better. We should definitely see that one.
I agree with you 100% on this, and I want to see more. So, but
Okay.
yeah, I think we did a really good job. I feel like we actually kind of
I think that
practiced this.
we might have elucidated, but practice makes perfect. Is that how it goes?
Right.